So it's linked to our meeting. And hi, Tina. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Tina. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Can you hear and see me?
I cannot see you, but I can hear you.
Okay, let me see. Start video, FaceTime camera. I'm
I
trying
think you
to.
can. There you
Oh,
go.
okay. Here
Hi.
we go.
Nice to meet you. I'm Javier.
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Sorry about that. I'm doing great. Thank you very much. I'm really excited to meet you. I'm going to be your mentor throughout this program. So just before we begin this mentor meeting, I need to inform you that this meeting is being recorded just for quality assurance by Udacity. All right.
Okay.
And the way this meeting works is that your dog?
I know he's so needy. I'm sorry.
That's fine. That's fine. I love dogs. So the way the one-on-one works is that we're going to follow a format. There's some basic questions that will guide our meetings. But before that, I would like to get to know you a little bit better. So, well, my name is Javier. I'm a graduate of data analyst program myself, and I'm a former middle school teacher, and that's like my mini bio. So tell me a little bit about yourself. What motivated you to join this program?
Yeah, so I am basically working in the field of big data for the last 6 years, around
Awesome.
6 years. So, and currently I'm at HP as a data analyst. And basically, throughout the years, I really, uh, developed my skill set to a point where I always want to grow and grow, but I feel like I identified the gaps that I have in my skill set. So, and when I saw the opportunity of this degree, I thought it's a really neat way to, fill the gaps in a, resourceful way. And I was really excited about it. But really, my trajectory of where I want to go from here is after the data analyst degree, I want to obviously start. That's kind of like the transition into data science for me.
Wow.
So that's really my ultimate goal. And I thought I want to make sure I know the fundamentals before I can even start with data science. Because I was thinking, should I do the data science nano degree or the data analyst? But I think it's you need to have the fundamentals first before you can really jump into those topics. So that's me. And currently, I mentioned, right, I work at HP, and what I do there is essentially I analyze the customer behavior of iOS and Android customers in the app. So HP has an app where you can print from your phone. So it's like remote printing.
Okay.
So I'm analyzing really different aspects of the customer journey, whether it's around printing, whether it's about scanning, things like that. And sometimes it's also different. Sometimes you look just at the customer journey. Sometimes you just only look at the output of, print table or scan table and just look at those. So it's a very big scope of different types of analysis, because it's massive data that they have there. So I'm really open to do a lot of different things.
I would imagine. I mean, and HP is a enormous company, and I think you made the right. I mean, I don't know your exact technology background regarding like SQL and Python, but I think the projects will be challenging enough, even with someone with your background, which you must know a lot by being a data analyst. And I think what is cool about it is that you will be able to implement what you're learning right on the job, which I think it's an amazing opportunity. And definitely your Python skills, your SQL skills will improve a lot, and you will definitely need that for data science. So welcome to the program. I'm really excited for you and for your learning journey. So let me tell you how these one-on-one meetings work. So I have here with me a learning plan that I set up for you. So since you told me that you restarted the program, I established the September 4th as your starting point, right?
Right.
But we can change this accordingly. And so these are suggested dates. This is what is I think it's a good progress rate. So, but once again, this is suggested. If you feel like you can move faster than that, or you feel like you need more time, it's up to you. It's okay, right? And so, as you can see, it has all the different lessons and the different due dates for the projects. And for example, right now it's September 11th. Um, so right here, you should be done with project number 1 and start working on Intro to Data Analysis course. So this should guide your progress, and it will let you know if you need to move faster with some lessons or some projects. And basically, once you set up this meeting, I'm going to start with that question. So how is your progress coming along in the program? So that will be our first question.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you say right now? Like, how are you feeling with the program, with your progress?
Actually, it's I think it's really good. So before, so it was a little bit of a bumpy start for me because I signed up for this degree 1 week before my summer vacation.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, but I also had called the hotline and I asked if it's like a self-paced thing or not, because otherwise I would have signed up after my vacation. But she said it's really self-paced. So I thought, okay, let me get started for a week and then take a little break. But what happened is, so I started before my vacation. And then on my vacation, I actually worked through the entire Python prerequisite,
That's
right?
great.
Because yeah, and I just didn't realize that it can be so much fun once you really understand what you're doing. And also what motivated me to really do this Python course is you have I think there's like a pre-assessment, right, for this data
Yes.
analyst. So I took it and it showed that really the Python skills were what I was lacking the most.
Okay.
So I wanted to really target that. So yeah, so then I did my Python course. So I was a little bit derailed from the actual data analyst
Of
program.
course.
And then when I came back from my vacation, I mentioned to you, I basically continued on. And then 2 days ago, 2 days ago, I submitted the investigated data set.
Yes, I saw that submit. It was great. I think you're almost there. The investigated data set, right? I think you only need to include a conclusion. Was that it? What was
Yeah,
it?
so I wanted to ask you exactly because I was not sure. It was talking about the conclusion, and it said that statistical significance tests would be nice, but then also limitations and assumptions. So, and I wanted to talk to you a little, maybe later, whenever we get to
Of
it.
course, yeah. Let's just jump through these questions and gets right there.
Yeah,
So was that?
progress is great. I think on my end, yeah, I'm
Yes,
just
especially since you restarted this like a week or 2 weeks ago. I mean, you're done with unit number 1, and you already made a submit for this project. So I think your progress is doing great.
cool.
I agree with you. So I don't think there are any changes we should make to this learning plan. Maybe, I mean, just make the adjustments, because I think you'll be done with this maybe tomorrow with this project, and you should be able to start the next unit maybe on Friday or something along those lines. So yeah, so let's move on to the next unit after project is completed. All right, so what can I help you with today? That's a part of the meeting where I answer your questions, and it's about the conclusions for the project. All right, so yes, what the reviewer meant by this, I mean, the statistical test is nice, but yes, I agree with you. I think the next unit will give you the skills you need for that, because the whole unit is about statistics, about probability, so you'll feel more confident with that. Let me show you my project, and let me show you my conclusion, so that you get a better feeling of what the reviewer meant by that. So basically, in the conclusions, the main part of the conclusions is what you found out about the data set, right? But the next thing that you should include, and this goes for every project you're going to do now, you need to show what are the limitations of your findings, because there's always the chance that there's always a possibility that your findings may not be accurate, because we're humans, and it has to do with many factors. All right, so here you just basically need to list the factors that might have affected your analysis. So for example, and I think I mentioned it, this is not loading. I think I mentioned it in the in our chat. Try to find out this data set. When was it? Let me open it from my computer. I think I have a computer here.
Okay.
Okay. I'll keep talking while I do that. So let's say that the data set was gathered maybe, I don't know, 10 years ago. So right now your findings may not be applicable to the current situation. So that's one limitation that you should list, for example. So it's not always about how statistical significant is, but what are the challenges, or what were the challenges of analyzing this data set? And for example, if you were analyzing the no-show, maybe you think that I don't know, if they have access to a car, it would be more significant, but that information was in the data set. So that's another limitation that, I think that, at least for me, having a car is like super important to get to my appointment, and I didn't have that kind of data in my data set. So I think that would be something nice for future analysis. So it's basically like that. I don't know if that makes sense.
Totally, yeah.
Okay, so let me try to open my project, because my plan was to talk and at the same time open it, but I just kept talking. Okay, so I'm opening a Jupyter notebook, and let me share that with you. Okay, let me just find it. So it's right here, code. I have it in the Udacity Data Analysts. Not right here. Okay, and investigate data set. Awesome. All right. Yes, the one. Okay, and it loaded this time. So the data set that I chose was the movie data set. Okay, it's just a little bit different from yours, so it won't have the same limitations, but I think it will give you a good idea of what it meant. So I have like my visualizations, and okay, so for example, right here, from this experiment, we can learn that the most popular of the years varies a lot, and that there is not really a trend. Any genre could possibly become the most popular genre of a year. Basically, I said I didn't find what I was looking for, right? But there are some weaknesses in the data that might have influenced the results. So the popularity scores are calculated using votes and views of the sites. This greatly limits the findings. It only represents the preference of a small group of people, the site users. So I was talking about how finding the most popular movie type or genre wasn't really. I mean, it didn't mean that was the most popular genre in the whole world. It just meant that it was the most popular in that specific site. Okay. Because the site users are the ones that vote. All movies, the popular scores don't reflect the taste of the people that experience the movie release date. Because people are voting right now for a movie that maybe was released 50 years ago. So this only shows how popular the movie is with people right now, living right now. So that's another limitation of my findings. I don't know if this makes a little bit more sense of what.
Yeah, it does.
Okay. So many genres were listed for one movie. By sticking to just the first genre list, the findings don't show the diverse nature of movies that usually incorporate many genres. So, for example, the originally this data set had many data. As you can, where is it? In genres, one movie had like 5 different genres.
Mm-hmm.
And what I did, I basically stick to the first one and eliminated the other ones so that I could make my analysis.
Right.
But that's another limitation because I'm not taking into consideration that one movie, it can be action movie, but at the same time, it can be a fiction movie. So that's another limitation of my analysis. So that's all what the reviewer meant. And as you can see, I just made like a list of it. And then some questions that would be nice to answer for future analysis. Uh, so these questions are some questions that could be answered with the data set, but I didn't have the time or wasn't the focus of my analysis, or if I didn't have the enough data to answer those questions.
Mm-hmm.
So is revenue calculated taking into consideration just theater tickets or merchandise as well? I didn't have that information. So that's another limitation or another question worth asking.
Yeah, this is amazing. Thank you for sharing, and it definitely gives me an idea now.
Yes, that's basic. That's why I said that you're almost there. Because this should take you about an. I mean, it could take longer, but it takes about an hour because you already work with the data set. So and next time when you work with a data set, these questions are going to jump naturally. Oh, like I wish I had this information.
Mm-hmm.
Write it down, and you're going to include it in the conclusion at the end.
Right. So Javier, do you think, like in my case, one example of limitation would be this? I had a city column. So it was a column of Brazilian cities where the hospital was located and the appointment was at. So the problem was that when I looked at the unique values of how many Brazilian cities we have in this whole data frame, it was like 81 or something. So I left this column pretty much out of my analysis because I didn't want to go the route of hot encoding like 80 unique values and therefore adding 80 new columns. And I mean, is this also part of that, the limitations, or is this not really?
It could be. It depends. What was your main question that you were trying to answer?
The question in the investigated data frame project.
Mm-hmm. It was related with age, and what was the other factor?
Yeah. So basically, the questions were: what are the factors that promote whether or not you show up?
Right. But you chose two specific variables, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or not? I think you chose age, and the other one was a different one.
Lag. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the appointment schedule, like that's right. So yeah, that could be a limitation. Maybe you could say something along the lines of, I didn't include like like all the cities because I wanted to focus on these two variables, but the city and the distance of how big the city is and thus how much distance the person needs to travel might influence the no show.
Totally.
Or you don't know, for example, as I was saying, if they have access to a car, or if they have, if there's like the public system, like public transportation system, you don't know how good it is, and that would be nice to have as well.
Exactly. And yeah, totally. So now I'm getting all these ideas in my head. I think you really started the engine now in my head. So I think I know what to do now about
No,
this.
that's great. That's great. This is what it is. This is the reason for the meeting. Awesome. I think you feel confident now to finish the project. What do you say? Do you think you can move on forward with the project?
Yeah. So I think probably tonight I will take a look again at everything and hopefully wrap up, because I already started on the next unit of statistics.
Oh, that's great.
So I already started, and I kind of like want to move along that way, but I obviously want to wrap. Therefore, I want to wrap up.
Oh, you're almost there. I think yes. You should finish it tonight. As you can see, it was just like a small paragraph that includes all that information.
Right. And then Javier, I wanted to ask you more about what can I do better as far as finding, feature importance, I guess, for a specific target variable, because I was just using box plots primarily, but I also know that there's like feature importance tools like tree-based things and other, like, obviously there's so many ways to understand what are the variables that make impact. But what do you from your experience, how do you go about then? What techniques you use for that?
Yes, I think you have a course on exploratory data analysis that it's mind opening. Because what you want to do, you want to start by basically making lots and lots of visualizations, starting with just one variable, just to understand that variable. And then you want to move on to joining two variables. And then you want to start incorporating many variables. And you want to limit how narrow your analysis is in order to don't be influenced by outliers. So at least for me, the thing that works best are histograms when I'm looking at one variable. Then box plots are amazing as well. But the main thing that I use are scatter plots. Scatter plots they just reveal information. And if you limit your scope, like you make it narrow enough, you will find amazing stuff. But scatter plots are great because you can see how two numeric variables correlate, and also you can use color to differentiate. For example, you can see how age correlates with I don't know what was the other one. If they have a heart disease or something along those lines, and or the schedule lag. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I don't know the data set as well. But you can choose those two, and it will show you the correlation of it. And apart from that, you can separate that with coloring with another variable that can be categorical. So you understand the relationship of these two, not just how they correlate, but you can also separate with a category all the different ones. So I think that's the one that you're going to use the most.
And even for like categorical variables, I mean, obviously I would have to make them binary or something, or maybe I don't. But for scatter plots, I guess, well, I could use categorical, but I have to convert it, right, into like...
Yes, it's going to be more suited for numericals. As we're saying, for the X and Y, X and Y is going to be numericals, but you can use the category to color them.
Right, that makes sense.
Yes, and there'll be times when you'll be like, oh, I don't find anything. What I think usually works best is just to narrow your scope, because maybe you're looking for to find a trend in I don't know, let's say years, in decades, but maybe the trend is not within the decades, but inside the decade itself, maybe, or in a year, for example. Maybe there's not a trend along the decades or along the years, but you can find a trend along the months of a year. So those two things usually set you up to like, what is the correct question to ask, and use your intuition. I think if you find a question interesting, most likely there's something to discover in that data set regarding that question.
Yeah.
No problem. Is there anything else I can help you with today?
Let me think. I think those were really the ones, because, you know, like I was really interested about like the feature importance, because I had before I started the degree, I actually had applied for data analyst positions in Bay Area, and it was a wake-up call where, remember I mentioned to you, I identified so much gaps of my skill set, where I really that was my motivation, right? That led me to my motivation. So really, you know, just remembering all the types of questions that I was asked or given assignments on during job interviews. Almost every company asks, what are the important features that trigger a certain target variable? And that's why I was really focused specifically on that, just because I know that's probably really hot question always that comes up for them. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that what is going to lead the way for that. Uh, I mean, correlation does not explain causation. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it doesn't explain it's not the cause, but it usually lights the way. So if you have like a really strong correlation, maybe there's something underneath it. So I think that's why scatter plots are particularly useful because of the way they explain correlation.
Right. Cool. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. One last question. What is your email address so I can share the learning plan with you?
It's so T as a tiger, and then my last name Patel, and
Okay.
then at sorry, period,
Okay.
S as in Sam, D as in dog, at
Right.
gmail.com.
Okay. So I have T as in tiger, Patel, Patel, period, S as in sun, and D as in D. All
Mm-hmm.
right.
And then
Great.
at gmail.com.
At
Exactly.
gmail.com. All right. As soon as we finish our call, I'm going to share the learning plan with you. If you are having questions as you are progressing through the lessons, feel free to drop them on the chat. All right. And I check that every day. And feel free to schedule a one-on-one meeting with me every week. It's not required, but it's nice to have. So if you feel like you need it, schedule it that week. If you don't feel like you need it, that's fine. Schedule it next week or when you feel you need it. But it's always there for you.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
No problem. Have a good one.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.